Well, today we're talking about one of my absolute favorite woodworking tools ever invented, the drum sander. Well, hello, my friends. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did, and it's time to get back in the shop and get some crap done. All right, so before we start talking about drum sanders, I did want to bring up a little follow-up concerning the gaming dining table. You might recognize this little thing that I built. It's part of the accessory system, and this was really intended to be just a simple version of a cup holder, something you could just lay a cup. It's more like a cup shelf. All right, a cup or a mug would fit on this just fine, but Nicole saw it, and her first reaction was like, nah. She wanted something a little bit more elegant that you can actually drop a can or a cup or something into and really stops it from tipping over. This was just me being lazy. So I went back to the drawing board, looked into some of these pre-made cups that you can put into gaming tables and other surfaces, and found a hole saw, 3 3/8 hole saw. So it's incredibly easy to take a nice flat platform like this, drill the proper size hole, and then drop this sucker in there. And you've got a much more versatile and really a safer cup holder than, than the one that I just made. Hey, I tried, right? All right, let's get to our email. Our email comes from Alan Parham. He says, I think you recently got the new Powermatic 2244 drum sander. My real long-term goal is to build guitars, and I like the precision that the 2244 seems to offer along with a decent price compared to other large drum sanders like the Woodmaster. My initial concern is the cantilever design. I can't help but think that over time, some play may develop since the drum is not supported on both ends, especially when it comes to something like a thin, precise guitar back or soundboard. Any thoughts? Well, since the PM2244 is pretty new to the market, not a lot of people have it, I'm getting a lot of questions about it. So we'll make this sort of a mini review as we answer Alan's question. So first of all, let's look at this cantilever design. As you can see, the drum is only supported on one side. So is that a problem over time? Well, not really. I mean, these things do eventually go out of calibration, but you always have a means to adjust for that. And this cantilever design is not something that's unique to Powermatic drum sanders. In fact, most of the small format home or small shop drum sanders are made this way. It's probably less expensive to make it that way, but it's also a little bit more versatile. And the reason is because you can run boards that are wider than the drum. So this is a 2244. That's why they're named that. Almost all drum sanders have two numbers. One is the first pass, and then if you flip the piece around and run it again a second time, you could sand the other side. So effectively, a 22-inch drum can yield a 44-inch sanding surface by flipping it around. And that's pretty cool. Honestly, I don't really use that feature very much. I find it to be a little bit finicky to make sure that you don't get a line in your work. Most of my work fits within a 22-inch span anyway. The key, though, with all of this is whether or not the tool is easy to adjust. And that is where this particular PM2244 sets apart from the rest. A couple years ago, my trusty drum sander went out of whack and I needed to adjust it. I lost 4 days of work trying to get this thing perfectly adjusted, and I'm not really super picky about this stuff. I just could not get the drum in alignment with the platform, and I couldn't get the feed rollers to sit in the right place because they were sort of connected to the drum adjustment. It was a mess. So I was so frustrated, I went out and I bought a Supermax. Supermax makes great drum sanders, so they had really improved on the adjustment mechanism, and I enjoyed using that for a few years. But when I got a hold of this Powermatic, this is what sort of a light bulb went off and said, why isn't everybody doing it this way? It's just so simple. No tools required at all. All you have to do is turn the dial. All right, and you do have to use a little bit of pressure to get it to move, and that's kind of a good thing because if you bumped into it and it moved, that'd be a real pain in the butt. So you can see it's not moving when I just hit it, but I have to deliberately move the dial to make those adjustments. And it adjusts the bed. The drum stays where it is, and you basically adjust the outboard side of the bed. So to finish answering Alan's question, just about any of these cantilever designed drum sanders will exhibit the same properties. The real thing that separates them is how easy they are to adjust, because at some point, no matter what brand you buy, you will have to make that adjustment. So it's a good thing to have one that turns with a dial. All right, let's look at a couple of the other features real quick just so you can see what this sander is about. Something I didn't even notice at first is that the drum is offset. You've got more conveyor material in the front than you do in the back. And the logic behind that is you need more grip surface in the front because that's where you're getting all your pressure pushing through the sanding drum. So it kind of makes sense to have a little bit more at the front than you have at the rear. We've got a nice digital display, which of course has the feed rate. And here we've got a relative depth adjustment. So as I move the drum up or down, I could really dial it in, but it's relative. So you simply zero it out wherever you need it to be zeroed, like on the top of a board, and then you could make your adjustments from there. Of course, you got the 4-inch dust port here, and pretty standard fare on the inside. Really nice, comfortable clips with a lot of room. The drum is raised above the body, and I'll tell you what, if you ever try to install this tapered sandpaper on a drum that's really deeply embedded in the casing here, that's a pain in the butt. So this is really nice and convenient to reach. Overall, it's a solid drum sander, but the real game changer for me, the thing that makes the difference, is this adjustment dial. Absolutely in love with it, so I highly recommend this particular unit. But for Alan, just about any good quality cantilever design is probably going to be adequate for what he's looking to do. And if he really needs to step up his game to a bigger machine, when you start to get beyond this size, you probably do want to go with something that has support on both sides, because the drum just gets a little bit too wide. All right, so thanks for watching, everybody. Think about getting a drum sander. It's a heck of an investment, but man, it's one that you're never going to regret.